Welcome to PAP, Public Access Poetry. Tonight's an open reading, and all the poetry goons on Rivington Street are here. Their first reader tonight is Lenny Goldstein.
Smoking wax, a maneuverable dot, the thoughts that cross the mind as in an airline stamp on a canceled letter, though the maneuvered block. Elvin Bishop's cherrywood neck throws pinpointed in a football tackle in the 1930s. Heat wave sunblock cunt, the emotional music terminal in the back, ground curtains, smoke shadows, the naturally shifting dance precision. As immediately it catches up to them, and all around an electric gold gong, ancient symbol peace religion, like a single piece revolver. Gonad testers abound, though experimental, and in the early stages cluster along the fretboard, rocking and rolling, pure gusto blues funk scratch and wail. Elvin Bishop looks like Harris Schiff. Ferocious tag skull bone wig roll in the dawn, the thermometer rises, proposing, awesome proposal. Bishop playing slide is like sliding greased up pussy, and then the image, the rest of it is visual. Perhaps I should explain it. Mishearing, all these 17-year girls look like I picked up last night, distilling the lingo expertly with a flick of the tongue. Another sexual image, Dee, but what can I do? The chiffonic blue rose in columns, a milky inky dusk before and after. Emily Dickinson coupling with Elvin Bishop, a maneuverable dot on a fan spastic with neon. I love the way she spread her wings. 12/15/77, extra darts, 2-yard comics. Jack o' diamonds, tales of beat, goose timelessness, oh mighty goof of wisdom, that make me prevail in tight quarters, the bent card stretched to a mighty ace, the one misbeholding squad diver, the underneath being as good as the cure. Salmon in the sky procure good graces, sultry blessings, as come from within and above. Polka dots, as natural increment, 2 setters pattern, Irish on the lawn. Of a jack of spades whistling Dixie police melodies, the dominant colors being brown and blue polka dots in a slow foxtrot heap to the gutter, where 1,000 gluttonous rainbows spew dollar bills ludicrously, like a crow looking around before swiping the scared feed, or the dozen angels of night spinning wimpishly, dimples hurled out to the scrambler mirrors. Tight-fed, dominant, and unfeeling, rare, the beigest of salmon. Something that starts inside and keeps going on inside, infinite. Deeply zero perfume velvet waves, unctuous patterns on the side view wall, tissues and a need to sneeze. The Acropolis venal watch repair. I needed a fix, and so on. Venereal disease that creeps up like fast-jumping shoots through halls of menthol orange, disperse and rearrange forever disgusted, their teeth hanging out. Veterans, their lawns of purple-striped dragon-tooth hoses sputtering out into the lawn, or whatever it matters. Could it be the war has come to an end? Flash daily bingo into the garbage pail, empty, and a new day, also empty, begins. Good God, it's Christmas already. Americanized fireflies sift out the lawn garbage. Hallelujah Oregons in the distance is what they shout at, back in 1879. Backache or not, this is the country we were born in, and we live it up and smoke a Marlboro, and consider the alternative. In corduroy pants, existence drags through the rain. With persistence, we overcome these obstacles and flee west where the goose duck cooked and the Fleming Jew cast wild aspersions in a rain. From the west coast came Sammy, and they meet him at 8 o'clock, split the first rail. Something keeps coming that inside could melt or outside burn, but neither way distinguish the sleepwalk from the fast pools. They keep growing sideburns up ahead, as signposts in the dark go past, luminous and green, like live neon fog, gophers in the anthill. You crush over as you notice this. It's queer and it's a foggy night. You could go anywhere. You light up a cigarette and think. I could go anywhere, bake the breakfast bread, burn the coffee, and ruin the mattress all in one guest shot. Who used to lay antique ribbons on the carpet covered with pale blue ostrich eggshells used in the divorce? Later it got hairy, and then it was all over, cranking in the margin release. The rain drops out slowly. This is either a cop-out or a ploy, and the alternative is aperitif, if you know what I mean. Anywhere you go is a joke, a party joke. You're the sheriff. Jewel buttons, blue tonic jelly, and platinum bag. This is called Your Uncle Julio is coming over for dinner, so wear cotton. I'm looking for Aphroditic appeal, sacrificial lackluster. Where's the sex trumpet I dropped, coming up from the cellar this morning among the screwdrivers? Somewhere the rakes around there get small and kids puke vomit. Also lying there, too, is my wife, Sadie, and she looked so delicious in my just-pumped tube, I had to spread her legs and take her, just as the bus was geographically. We ate noodles for dinner and talked about it. Sadie's Aunt Dinner was coming for dinner, Ellen. Little Typo was her Indian name, and she was soft as velvet, lisps of summer, her eyes said. Hey now, lots of time later for dinner. She has no leg, and I love her for it. No leg of mutton, and I hate lamb, so we're incompatible. Why did she have no leg? I kept asking myself over and over. A manic depressive mood came over like a somber cloud I had wrapped in a mantle in the closet for special occasions and tried on just for... No, the trial starts Wednesday and you have to start getting dressed. What are you going to wear? Comb your hair. God, what a repressive mother. I'm going out ice skating. The weather will be clear and beautiful. I will be out there skating, passionate, romance diddles in the cube.
That was Lenny Goldstein, and the next reader is Tom Savage.
Well, these are two prose pieces. The first is entitled Book Report and is dedicated to James Schuyler. Thank you, Miss Cinder. I'd like to tell everybody about this weird book I found in my father's secondhand bookstore 2 weeks ago. It's called Lucien Lerwen, and is by this Mr. Bale who calls himself Stendhal, among other things. The book is in 2 big volumes. The first book has its own neat little title, The Green Huntsman. That's the name of an inn outside Nantes, France. Lucien and his girlfriend, Madame Chasteler, decide that they are in love while on a visit to that place. Up until then, she sort of kept him on a string. He enjoys riding past her window all the time. The first time he does it, he falls off his horse. He's in the French army and is very proud of his horses, which he can buy because his father is a smart broker on the stock exchange in Paris. Then there is this old crook, Dr. Dupoirier. Toward the end of the first volume, he breaks up the lovers by making it look to Lucien as if Madame Chasteler has had an illegitimate child. Dr. Dupoirier is very involved in French politics, a legitimist. He wants to replace the new king of France with the old king, who is somehow still alive. I don't know why the second volume is entitled The Telegraph. Lucien comes back to Paris very upset about Madame Chasteler. His father gets him a job spying for the government. Meanwhile, Madame Chasteler is trying to get to Paris while Lucien goes around stopping cabbage revolutions. The strange thing about this book is that it has no ending. Toward the end, the author died, so the book falls apart like a balloon losing air. Still, it was a lot of fun to read. The next is a work in progress, and it's tentatively entitled Arthur the Gunrunner. A dead writer is as much a fictional character as anyone else. As far as the world is concerned, I am dead, and the world is not far wrong. It rarely is for very long. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror just to see if I have forgotten my works, and had I not, I would no longer understand them. There have been times when I wished that I had continued, but the life was unbearable. Poor old Paul chasing me around, that incident with the gun. I have since had a lot to do with guns. Maybe that first shot was an omen, or a trap from which I have not been able to extricate myself. But it is gold stained black with dry blood that has kept me in my trap, or rather, the promise of gold. As is well known, gold does not always keep her promises. Of course, they would give anything to find me here, or to give me away here for good. I oblige them by not tormenting them anymore. By now, with the exception of Paul, to them I am only a fascinating incident of their lives, which they will bring up in conversation, but the details of which they have forgotten. Stale scandal is worse than dry blood. It lasts longer, but only if you choose to move in circles where people still find such things interesting. No, I gave that all up. Once or twice during fevers I have tried to write again, but it was impossible. Once you've said to yourself, it isn't worth it, you're stuck with that opinion, and the muse goes to find another slave. I suppose the poems are good if they are poems. The nagging doubt persists that I haven't really written poems. This became such an obsession I felt it better to stop. How many writers, singers, even painters on occasion make the mistake of going on and on and on after they have exhausted their real contribution to their art? Whatever may be said, inside my head as well as out, no one will ever be able to accuse me of that. If my writings withstand time's blows, a certain mawkish romance may come to be attached to my life. Imitators of my life as well as of my work will spring up. I will have the pleasure of not having to participate personally in the debasement of my work. Meanwhile, there is this fever to attend to. Could you get me some quinine from the dispensary? If I survive a few more days, I may pull through. I hope these moments of comparative lucidity are not a trick, a mask. I have coped with death before, but it was always coming at me from outside. In one way, my surrender of myself as a poet was an error. I imagined that life without the obsession of art would be easier, somehow flow more smoothly. I have now spent many seasons in different hells. I left my illuminations behind. There is nothing left now but the peculiar crust of experience which clings to a man and which he occasionally is able to use as advice to another man.
That was Tom Savage, and the next reader was last year's winner of the PAP Smear Award, Tony Towle.
I'm always being held back by something. Read two short poems from a series called Abstract Pieces. I won't comment on that because I don't know what Bob is talking about, but I'll find out. Nibbling the ropes, one goes overboard sometimes, sifting the quiet threads through flooded markets of details, including the irate shoppers storming out. And I won't even mention the direction, an offbeat retribution of anonymity, but I think a direction can be significant, although unlikely, and one can go faster, and it can get worse, though I can always start off on a new one, and even appease the business interests, though I can't give them much business. And I don't mind being carried around, a charge from one of my ages into the next. But when I ask myself what it used to be like, and then by means of infinity pretend not to answer, then I have yet one more thing to answer in the grand design, Duke of Wellington plums ripening on the warm counters of Spain. Another dive into the day, a giant anemone in which I once again reside, squirrels for pawns in the fresh daily weeds, the scampering of a completed deer, internationally apparent. What are you supposed to do with the oval personalities that keep to the shrubbery like Chaucerian cubes? Now what are you talking about? I mean roses in their bloom, under the idle dairy of my nose, have me like a pearl, which tightened as you touched it, and I am lost in simplicity. But we want to press deeper, be memorable under the shore's large eyes, larger than the plain American Saturday life that is led through the brick hotels of relationships, nursing deep like a fish the heliotrope waste. But sure, float by on a raft of gnats, wake me up, put me back in my little jacket, in flakes and puffs of rhetoric, prepared like the vegetables sitting in the ground and wanting to grow, whose integrities I mashed with pieces from a lamb, to create the audience of ruminations, going toward my head, to get me off my tail. Thank you.
That was Tony Towle, and I'm going to read next. My name's Bob Rosenthal.
You'll get an award for this one.
Let's do it together. I'll be your doctor. Journalism 5. What was said? What was 10 minutes? Anyways. Why did he go? Why did he leave now? Is the door locked? Where did she find it? Where was it before? Is it here? When did the blimp rise? At the time of day, or is it night? Who cares? Who would like to wonder at this? They said they told their mother they wouldn't go out of the house, 'cause son of Sam, but not to worry, 'cause they have no hair. And he said, well, he never swam to Jersey. Now could we move the world over a step in, please? The sun is tardy and old. Its temper flares naturally. Its cool spots are pores. The sun's daddy was Sam, backwards, mass. You toddling, drunken animal. Music be your transport. Words be a substance. Art be your nature. Dance be your life. Performance, the air you breathe. Dunbar. The graduation to movement among them surprised her distant feeling about green twins. The rotary finished, the tunnel flowed, the light turned yellow, 2 eyes blinking in sawdust. The cavalcade motion would not distract the Latinate sense or the Greco back to action. Somewhere between 3rd Street and 4th Street on Avenue B, the brother asked, what street are you looking for, brother? I know where I'm going, brother. This is Marion's old house. This is the first corner I was swept to in New York City. And now I wash up here many times, turning pink into the green sun. Those pollutants make our minds wild. The crystal zone over the thorax is sagging. The snow is melting in surges to the lungs, like the professional science poltergeists who find in their eye Times Square filled at low tide when the poles start to travel south and north. And so these guys bought a hill in Westchester County and put up the new flag, an empty filament of light, a broken yellow glass, a blotch of green seaweed. Lullaby. O world, rock, to sit like thee, suspended nowhere in shutters blue. No cry can try where said is done, till red face yawns and triads depart to find faith and discipline and sane madness and breath. Hate under the feet like tigers' lilies, orange tongues lap up sun. Love the bouncing ball, head like skipping, generations flaxen or brown or black. O rock, retain, cleave whole, brightness lost by fission. Stay warring hands, which no longer bear the weight of their swords. O rock, like vapor, thought demand me to do, to please in you, entire nature, done, undone. O rock, rock. The next reader is a celebratorious cameraman on the PAP show, Gregory Masters.
I have one poem to read. It's called Then. This evening started off around this afternoon, when I was tired and fucked off twice at work, like once going to the coffee shop, actually the health food store, a conscious decision, and bringing back some cake to offer her. Borrow money and fuck off again to run to bookstore and buy 2 books which have been on the shelf there for over 2 months together. Went upstairs to piss when I really didn't have to, just for the change of scenery. Joe, too, is feeling the same way, but we have better things to talk about, me and him. Today we recalled some lines from Bringing Up Baby. I walk home with legs full of sand, bypassing the comfort of a short visit where she works, and a new produce store on Union Square where someone passing really says, what a nice store, just like I was thinking. I know I'm going home to go take a nap, and it's what my afternoon was headed for. That done, I have an hour to kill, so spend some more time than usual on the phone with him. Almost consented to go to the movies with him tomorrow night, I had so much time. That book I bought today is missing the first 25 pages. That leaves plenty of poems, though, which I read and hope the guy will give me back my money. And now I have to pay full price somewhere. Then I read some other poems, but not really, because, well, I'm not actually sure, but it's exactly in keeping with the way my life doesn't concentrate sometimes. This poem started off as a conversation I thought I might be having in about an hour.
That was Greg Masters, and the next reader is also one of the coordinators of the PAP programs, David Herz.
This is called Diary of a Boy. It's in 3 parts. 1, looked away from my books, many people to meet there. 9:30 to 10 awoke. There at 10:30. Call this number, 966-6110. Advices, stop grabbing. A man lights a coconut cigar, then his ear. He reads a thrilling how 10 Jewish women changed their names in the Story Quarterly. A boy said, the teacher said, if you don't pay attention in class, we'll send you to concentration camp. It was a quip. Across the mahogany wood bar counter, a woman threw herself from a room. She wanted to be a found object. And on the way down, she cried, my hands are characterless. Arf. None. Her death inspired a public confessional. 2 stories, ads, story, but it comes so right. Awoke with a start. Everyone in the story had a face compared with a dog's. His aunt had the pushed-in mug of a Pekingese. The little boy had the sleek features of a Mexican hairless. Many in the neighborhood wished to eat him. She talked as if her whole face was splitting up, a surface of coagulated fat onto which a stone, through which a weight had been dropped, with the insistence of a steaming percolator. A German shepherd chained to a length, stertorous, automatic, barking. A bus passed, then another. 2 more buses passed, then another. Then 2 passed holding hands. The invention of regret, bad melancholy, through eaching prognosticable. Thank God, 6 buses threw themselves about, becoming to a diviner of hexagrams. Pure interpretation and no clue is offered. A friend of mine. I went to the same school at the same time, never exchanging more than synchronous grunts on the wrestling mat of the phys ed floor, while he stood on a corner, flogging down a taxi with a cat o' 9 tails. A large Beretta in his free hand. Let's go to a seafood restaurant. I'm allergic to everything from the ocean. Fordadunga, Fordadunga. The pile driver made these sounds, and a 12-sided shaft of aluminum sunk meekly with each Fordadunga, Fordadunga. A boat sank with all hands. Cyborg run. The mates were transferred to the boat piecemeal by piece, and the hands had made it an index-ringed finger walk when the tub opened up and went down. Thanks.
That was David Herz. And the next reader is yet another of the young poets who have Sony flowing in their bloodstreams. Gary.
It's endless.
Endless Sony. Sony. Gary Lenhart.
Yay!
How a television show's art. Neurotic given what you can't explain to gain. Looking out the best window, looking both ways. The other ways, what's confusing pleasure. Delmore Schwartz. See how a name's concrete? For the first time it crosses my mind, poems might tell history. Not changing anything, but telling it. Making Delmore Schwartz. For 8 hours or 4 seconds you're not I, no, no. Then a cunt with eyes says eyes. Or Delmore Schwartz sometimes. Eyes, eyes only, or oregano notebook enterprise letters, ripped apart or traced their curves. Use it. Hearing my visionary sense in the deaf sense of imagining. I mean, it must exist, as they used to say. Who? The wrong question. In slick general audience publications like Us People. So long, asexuality. Good morning, America, and homosexual cops. Fits of glove. Firm as investment into videotape ambition, to wear earrings into a vicious circle, where you vent anger like a peripheral wolf, spitting blanks at unaggressive lunatics, rats, who mean me. And I laugh at that, like a Texan, bullet clenched between my teeth. I bite, stomp, right on water. Logic subsides beneath the glimmer of spectacle. My politics is ignore you. Tall people with guns can't vanquish that. Suspended above oblivion, I shout, adolescent freedom. And White powder in huge flakes. Refuse to be reproof. No, not for me to analyze my overtures in tiny, generous stick. I strip 4 gears and giggle behind flannel, grinning fit to split my face. What's up my sleeve is obvious. I want breath and new air. I want to vacuum my dusty floor. I want to be passive in control. I want to say, get away, kid, you bother me. Without something I can steal, if only for the instant. Seize me, but be wary, I'm a hangman for revenge. I pass on the inside every chance. And never bluff, not even 3 of a kind.
That was Gary Lenhart, and the next reader is often the director of the PAP programs, Rochelle Kraut.
I think whoops, I took someone else's works with you.
You can read those.
Oh, those are yours. Right. I'll first read I'll read one of my finished poems, and then I'll read an unfinished poem. It seems fitting to read an unfinished poem. That's not funny. Okay. I'll read Dear Heart. Wires dangle my window side. Blessed is the mess, the call for money or don't call at all, because we work, don't work. To get a job, I killed a flying cockroach. Huge June bug, 5 stories high. The damp increased, ventricular rage, and woke him up. Done it afore many times. Cute, you got something against that word. I feel like buy no longer. I steal, I learned. I change a bright face to sojourn among the shithead piles. I have a tick in my heart. Won't stop pulse. There be reeling and writhing. Those would stain, then wash away my care. Are here with kisses. Dare one speak of what one can't take, of hate that dogs eat. Should read book of famous people. Their lives all smoothed over with fame and beauty. Anything ugly is really funny. I think too much. I know I must be alone. Almost still I trust. It's glamorous, this anger that talks, turns inside, so bitter, and why one's medicine is hardest to take. I love you. Hold your head. High jump out the window. 35 seconds. There's no time. I'll just read the title of my new work, The Heart in the Hurricane. Thank you. Blackout. Oh God, I got to not read my new unfinished work.
You shouldn't have gotten greedy, Rochelle. You should have just read the new unfinished work first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you weren't here, I would.
Really,
Finish all your
I read
unfinished
shorter
work.
than anybody.
No, you didn't read shorter than me.
Self-effacing, that's all.